Hello there, watching Rajya Sabha TV. Now, India has got Swiss support for entry into Elite Nuclear Club or the NSG. Well, this as Prime Minister Modi continues with his five-nation tour. Well, that is our top focus. We also look closely at day 2 of the Haryana reservation quota stir and internationally details on storm battering Australia. We'll get you all the details. What's up? The headlines. Switzerland agrees to back India's bid for membership to the elite NSG. The two sides also resolved to strengthen cooperation in combating black money issue. Quantum of sentence in the Gulbarg Society massacre case to be announced on 9th of June. Prosecution demands either capital punishment or life imprisonment for the convicts. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley meets heads of PSU banks, promises greater support from the government in dealing with bad loans. And massive storm wreaks havoc on Australia's east coast. At least 3 people have died, while several others are reported missing. Well, the big focus this evening. Now, India has got the backing of Switzerland for its membership bid to the Nuclear Suppliers Group or the NSG. The important breakthrough came after the meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Swiss President Johann Schneider-Ammann. The two leaders also discussed ways to tackle the black money issue. The Prime Minister also invited the Swiss business leaders to invest in India.
Haben Indien eine Unterstützung zugesagt, im Bestreben, Mitglied dieser Nuclear Suppliers Group zu werden. Die Schweiz ist interessiert daran, dass
I'm thankful to the President for Switzerland's understanding and support for India's membership of the Nuclear Suppliers Group.
An acknowledgement of India's bid for membership of the Nuclear Suppliers Group. Switzerland has promised India support for its bid ahead of a crucial meeting of the elite group. The announcement came after comprehensive talks between the two leaders.
I want the Indian economy to be driven by smart and sustainable cities, robust farm sector, vibrant manufacturing, and dynamic service sector.
The two sides have also resolved to strengthen cooperation in combating tax evasion and black money. The two leaders agreed to expand cooperation in tackling the problems of Indians stashing black money in Swiss banks. It was one of the key focus areas of the talks between the two leaders, besides stepping up ties in areas of trade, investment and vocational training.
We discussed the need for an early and expeditious exchange of information to bring to justice the tax offenders. An early start to negotiations on the agreement on automatic exchange of information would be important in this respect.
wir stellen fest, dass Indien und die Schweiz in den vergangenen Jahren im Kampf gegen den Steuerbetrug und gegen die Steuerflucht gemeinsam Fortschritte erzielt haben. Die Zusammenarbeit zwischen unseren Ländern in diesen Fragen ist pragmatisch.
Prime Minister Modi also met with Swiss business leaders in Geneva. During the meeting, Modi called on the Swiss business community for partnership across areas including manufacturing and skill development. The PM also pitched for Swiss investment in India and told the business leaders that India was not only a huge market but also had the skills and an open government. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, moving on in the bulletin now, the pronouncement of the quantum of punishment in the Gulbarg Society massacre case has been adjourned to 9th of June. Now, a special court in Ahmedabad adjourned the hearing today. The prosecution has sought capital punishment for the 11 convicted of murder, while the lawyer of the victims pleaded the court for life imprisonment for them. On 2nd of June, the court had convicted 24 of the 66 accused in the case. The court acquitted 36 others, also dropping the conspiracy charge against all accused. Now, out of the 66 accused, 6 had died during the trial. Of the 24 convicted, 11 were charged with murder, while 13 others were convicted for lesser offences. The incident of a mob attacking Gulbarg Society in Ahmedabad on 28th of February 2008 left 69 people, including former Congress MP Ehsan Jafri, dead.
Conspiracy is not found proved by the Honorable Court. Prosecution has failed to prove conspiracy. Prosecution has failed to prove a major ground that the rape was committed. Prosecution was failed to prove the common intention, that is section 34 of IPC. Hearing will continue on the 9th, and then after court may give date for the judgment or for the final order of the quantum of punishment.
कोर्ट भी सोचेगी, वकील भी सोचेंगे और ऊपर वाला भी सोचेगा कि उनको कैसी सजा मिलना चाहिए, तो वो सजा उनको सजा मिलेगी। मेरे हक में तो होना ही चाहिए फैसला। इतने दिन से जो मैं इंतजार कर रही हूँ, केस लड़ रही हूँ, जद्दोजहद कर रही हूँ, मेरे हक में ही मेरे को उम्मीद है कि मेरे हक में फैसला होगा।
And on to the other big story. Well, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley met with the heads of PSU banks on Monday, asserting that public sector banks would get greater support from the government to commercially deal with bad loans. Jaitley said that the state-owned banks had suffered cumulative losses of 18,000 crore rupees in 2015-16, mainly on account of high provisioning for bad loans.
With a huge pressure of stressed assets hovering over the banking sector, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley held a quarterly performance review meeting of the chairman and managing directors of public sector banks and financial institutions on Monday. Jaitley said public sector banks made operating profits of 1.4 lakh crore rupees in 2015-16, indicating the picture wasn't as gloomy as being projected. He also said that the government had earmarked 25,000 crore rupees for recapitalization of state-owned banks and would provide more funds if needed.
Empowering the banks itself to function in an environment where on commercially prudent considerations they can deal with the situation. The government is fully committed to supporting the banks in this regard.
Besides non-performing assets or bad loans, the meeting reviewed the progress of financial inclusion schemes like Stand Up India and Mudra, credit flow to the industry and expansion of the banking sector.
The progress of schemes under the financial inclusion Stand Up India, Mudra, all these subjects were discussed.
State-run banks account for around 70% of domestic lending. The quarterly performance review meeting of PSU banks came amid a pile of stressed assets to 8 lakh crore rupees in the banking system. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now an update on the upcoming Rajya Sabha polls. And a Congress delegation led by Party General Secretary Digvijay Singh met the Election Commission today, seeking postponement of the elections to 4 seats of Rajya Sabha from Karnataka. The polls are scheduled for 11th of June. The party is also said to have moved 14 independent MLAs from Karnataka in the wake of serious allegations of use of money power in the polls.
A delegation of Congress leaders met the Election Commission in Delhi, seeking postponement of elections to 4 seats of the Rajya Sabha from Karnataka. This after a political slugfest in the wake of the sting operation into the use of money power during the polls from the state.
हमने आज माननीय चुनाव आयोग से अनुरोध किया है कि जो कर्नाटका में स्टिंग ऑपरेशन हुआ है उसमें ऐसा कोई पर्याप्त प्रमाण नहीं है जिस तरह का कि झारखंड के राज्यसभा इलेक्शन के काउंटरमांड होने में था। यहां से जो स्टिंग ऑपरेशन हुआ है उसमें ऐसे कहीं प्रमाण नहीं है, कोई तथ्य नहीं है। इसलिए ये अनुचित होगा कि झारखंड का उदाहरण देकर कर्नाटक में चुनाव राज्यसभा का निरस्त किया जाए।
The Congress party has also reportedly moved 14 independent MLAs from Karnataka to a hotel in Mumbai.
Obviously, if people know that the Congress is winning and people try and poach, then obviously protective steps, which you call Operation Secure and you call it wrongly according to me, protective steps are taken and steps are also taken to expose such persons who are trying or who are experienced and expert in poaching. But let me be very clear, people who are trying to delay, obstruct and avoid this election know that the Congress is on the winning streak.
BJP meanwhile has criticized Congress over this issue, saying the developments have revealed its true face.
Congress has been exposed to the public. Being a ruling party in Karnataka, their activities, it is highly condemnable, and taking independent and other MLAs to some resorts certainly gives a very bad name to the state of Karnataka.
Where is the evidence? Without evidence, simply allegations. It's only allegation ashte. There is no, to support the allegations, there are no documents at all.
The Election Commission had on Friday sought a report from the state's chief electoral officer following media reports about the sting operation. Vishal Dhaya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, moving on from Haryana news, the fresh Jat agitation remained relatively quiet on the second day as well. However, heavy security has been deployed this time around in Haryana as well as in the national capital. There are no reports of violence or any disruptions till now. Meanwhile, the Punjab and Haryana High Court has refused to vacate the stay that it granted earlier on the Haryana government's decision to grant a reservation to Jats and other communities.
The renewed Jat agitation for reservation in jobs and other demands continues in Haryana, albeit on a subdued note. This time, the protesters say they will not cause disruptions and will stay away from cities.
हम अपना आंदोलन शांतिपूर्वक कर रहे हैं और आगे भी शांतिपूर्वक करते रहेंगे। सरकार क्या करती है, प्रशासन क्या करता है, इस बात का नहीं पता हमें। हम शांतिपूर्वक अपना धरना आगे जारी रखेंगे।
Over 7,000 troops of Central Paramilitary Forces are helping the Haryana Police patrol highways, railway tracks, important government offices and public places. The districts on high alert include Rohtak, Jhajjar, Sonipat, Jind, Bhiwani, Hisar, Fatehabad, Panipat and Kethal.
There is absolute peace in the state. We have been able to maintain absolute law and order in the state. No untoward incident has happened. There is absolute uninterrupted traffic in the entire state. There is no disruption of essential services.
Meanwhile, the Punjab and Haryana High Court today refused to vacate the stay on Haryana government's decision to give reservation to Jats and 5 other communities under the OBC category. After violent protest in February that left 30 people dead and hundreds injured, the Haryana Assembly had passed a legislation giving them quota.
अगर इनको मेरिट को स्टे एप्लीकेशन पे बहस करनी है तो देन वी आर रेडी फॉर आर्गूमेंट, लेकिन ये इंश्योर कर दे कि दे विल नॉट टच द मेरिट ऑफ द केस, क्योंकि इन्होंने पैरा 3 के अंदर स्पेसिफिक लिखा है कि वी विल टेक द असिस्टेंस ऑफ द मेन केस आल्सो।
हरियाणा सरकार ने आज दलील दी कि इस केस की अर्जेंसी है, क्योंकि हरियाणा सरकार ने 43,000 से ज़्यादा नौकरियां भी निकाली हैं, पाइपलाइन में हैं, जिनमें कहीं ना कहीं हाई कोर्ट के स्टे के बाद काफ़ी सारे जो रिजर्व कैटेगरी बैकवर्ड क्लास सी में अप्लाई करना चाहते हैं वो इससे वंचित रह सकते हैं।
Despite the lukewarm response to the fresh agitation, prohibitory orders stay imposed in several parts of the national capital too. The police are taking no chance this time around and have deployed riot control teams in northwest and southwest Delhi, where violence was witnessed during the February agitation. The Munich Canal that supplies most of Delhi's water is also being guarded by central troops. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Supreme Court has agreed to accord an urgent hearing to a plea seeking a CBI probe into the Jawahar Bagh violence in Mathura recently. Upon hearing that evidence was being destroyed and 200 vehicles have already been burned, the court listed the matter for Tuesday. The petitioner said that the gravity of the violence urgently called for a CBI probe. 29 people were killed in a massive clashes between police and encroachers in Mathura when police tried to evict the illegal occupants there. Meanwhile, BJP workers today clashed with police while attempting to gherao the Uttar Pradesh Assembly building to protest against the incident. The demonstrators are demanding the resignation of PWD Minister Shivpal Singh Yadav, besides a CBI inquiry into the violence in Mathura. More national news. Here is the nationwide. Senior Congress leader and former Union Minister V. Narayanasamy was today sworn in as the 10th Chief Minister of Puducherry. 5 other Congress legislators were also sworn in as ministers. Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi administered the oath of office and secrecy to the 6-member team of ministers. 69-year-old Narayanasamy had served as a Minister of State in the PMO in the second UPA government after serving as a MOS Parliamentary Affairs in UPA 1. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti and National Conference leader Omar Abdullah today exchanged heated words in the assembly over the issue of Sainik colonies in the valley. Mufti accused the latter of spreading rumours about her on the social media, to which Abdullah retaliated, saying that he won't back down from the speaking on the issue of public interest through social media. The issue of proposed colony for armed force personnel was raised by independent MLA Sheikh Abdul Rashid. The locals in Bishada village of Dadri today held a Mahapanchayat defying prohibitory orders. The locals are demanding that a police case be filed for cow slaughter against Akhlaq's family. To prevent the Mahapanchayat, the police had declared prohibitory orders under Section 144, which prevents large groups from gathering as a precaution against violence. Security was also beefed up in the village. The development comes 9 months after Akhlaq was lynched to death over rumours that his family had eaten beef. Security agencies are on high alert in Amritsar for the 32nd anniversary of Operation Blue Star today. Over 8,000 security personnel, including from paramilitary forces, were deployed in the city after Sikh radical groups threatened to disrupt the annual ceremony inside the temple complex. Meanwhile, prayers were offered at the Golden Temple complex, which is home to the holier of Sikh shrines, Harmandir Sahib. And in News at 6, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
The splendid, grand and massive neo-Buddhist copper dome of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. It gets its influence from stupa at Sanchi. The dome is more than twice the height of the rest of the building. The reinforced concrete shell of the outer dome began to be formed during the beginning of 1929. The last stone of the dome was laid on April 6, 1929.
Welcome back after the break. Now continuing with our special series on drought in the country. Well, the Sikar district of Rajasthan is suffering from a severe water crisis and famine, especially in the rural areas. Now, Sikar was once known for its largest grain market. Around 10 million tons of onion still generates from here. But today, 80% area of the district is under dark zone. Farming is totally ruined, leaving farmers in the lurch.
This is Shri Madhopur Tehsil of Sikar district. Former Vice President of India Bhairav Singh Shekhawat's political career began here. Today the whole area is under the dark zone. The issue of drought in this area has been raised in Parliament several times, but there has been no relief. 108 villages of the Tehsil are suffering due to famine. The lives of many, especially women, is being hit hard due to the extreme heat and water crisis. Shri Madhopur is 75 kilometers from Jaipur, but no such relief has reached people living here.
करीब 20 साल से डार्क जोन घोषित किया हुआ है। उसके बाद पानी की इतनी भयंकर समस्या है कि आए दिन पानी के लिए आंदोलन होते रहे हैं और पानी के लिए कोई भी स्थायी समाधान के बारे में अभी कोई चर्चा नहीं कर रहे।
पानी के लिए 8-10 ट्यूबवेल हैं, लेकिन इनमें से आधे से ज़्यादा बंद पड़े। पाइपलाइन कम से कम भी नहीं तो 2-2 फुट गहरी सड़क के नीचे है, उसमें जड़ें आ जाती हैं और आ जाती हैं। आज 6 महीने से लगातार 1.5 साल से तो मेरे कार्यकाल में कह रहा हूँ कि भाई इनको एक्शन वगैरह से बात हो गई और होगी, लेकिन किसी तरह का कोई ध्यान नहीं दिया जा रहा है।
The population of 9 tehsils in Sikar district is around 27 lakhs. Their livelihood depends on farming and animal husbandry. There is neither fodder nor water. The people living here are compelled to sell their cattle at throwaway prices. The sub-divisional magistrate also agrees that the situation is very serious.
गर्मियों का मौसम चल रहा है, इसमें तो टैंकर की व्यवस्था जो हमने करवाई है, टैंक जहाँ पे ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम है वहाँ पे टैंकरों से पानी की सप्लाई की जा रही है। बट ये तो मतलब 1-2 महीने के लिए होता है, और जहाँ पे पॉसिबल हो रहा है वहाँ पे ये सरकार की जितनी भी स्कीम्स हैं, जैसे जल अभी MJSA में मुख्यमंत्री ने जितने भी चलाए हैं, इसे भी मतलब कि काफ़ी फ़र्क हो रहा है, लोगों को काफ़ी फ़ायदा मिलने वाला है।
Koddi, the largest village of Sri Madhopur, is in deep trouble. In 2011, the area came under the dark zone. One needs to dig 800 feet to get water. Fluoride is yet another major problem. Water crisis has forced people here to take to the streets in protest demanding a permanent solution.
काफ़ी जो किसान वर्ग है उनको परेशान कर रहा है, क्योंकि पानी का जो स्तर है वो काफ़ी नीचे चला गया है।
कितना?
बहुत नीचे चला जा चुका है कि 1100, 1200, 1300, 1400 तक भी पानी की बूंद प्राप्त नहीं होती है, जिससे किसान वर्ग इतना प्रभावित हो गया है कि उसको पीने का पानी, जो पशु हैं, जानवर हैं, उनको पानी भी प्राप्त नहीं हो पा रहा है।
Farming is a major livelihood source in Sikar district, but the water crisis has put the future of farmers here in distress. They are demanding that the water from the Kumbha Lift Canal be given to the district. Residents say they have no way out but to migrate if the water crisis is not resolved. Arvind Kumar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Delhi High Court on Monday dismissed wrestler Sushil Kumar's plea seeking entry into the Rio Olympics. In his plea to the High Court, the two-time Olympic medals winner sought a trial against a fellow boxer Narsingh Yadav to enable him to win a berth in the Indian squad to the Rio Olympics in the 74-kilogram category wrestling event. In its verdict, the Delhi High Court has said that it will not interfere in the jurisdiction of the Wrestling Federation unless arbitrary or unreasonable behavior is shown. The High Court also said that the Wrestling Federation of India conducted a transparent procedure of selection. Sushil Kumar won a bronze in the 2008 Beijing Olympics and a silver in the 2012 London Olympics in the 66-kilogram division, but the category was later abolished by the International Wrestling Federation in 2014. Now, this prompted him to move to a 74-kilogram weight category, which brought him to competition with Narsingh Yadav, who was a top Indian wrestler in this class till then. Due to injury, Sushil Kumar missed the qualification for Rio Olympics and Narsingh Yadav secured the berth after winning the bronze at the World Championship to represent the country.
Court has given the basically two reasons to in the dismissal of writ petition of Sushil Kumar. Number one, a writ court cannot interfere in the functioning of the sports autonomous sports federation. Number two, any type of the interference or holding the trial at this stage may badly hamper to the possibility of the nation in winning the medal in Olympic. Number two, it's a great possibility to be cause the serious injury to the players in the process of trial.
More sporting action now. Here is the sports beat. Members from different faiths gathered at the Louisville Islamic Center in Kentucky to pay tribute to former heavyweight champion Muhammad Ali. Now, people remembered Ali and hailed him as a champion of social justice, a lifelong supporter of charitable work and an opponent in the US war in Vietnam. Former European champion Kerry Hope was today unveiled as Vijayendra Singh's opponent for the World Boxing Organization's title bout to be held in Delhi on 16th of July. Vijayendra has been unbeaten since turning pro last year, winning all 6 of his contests so far through knockouts. With an impressive record of 23 wins from 30 bouts, Hope has moved division to super middleweight to take on Vijayendra Singh. Fast bowler Mohammad Amir has been named in Pakistan's squad for Test series in England starting next month. The announcement marks the first Test call-up for Amir since he was banned and imprisoned for spot fixing at Lord's in 2010. His 5-year ban ended in September 2015 and he was named in Pakistan's limited over squad earlier this year. Mexico opened their 2016 Copa America campaign with a stunning 3-1 victory over Uruguay on Sunday. Rafa Marquez and Hector Herrera's second late goals to secure a win for Mexico. Uruguay's lone strike came from captain Diego Godin. And on to the big international story now. 3 people are dead and 3 others are missing after a massive storm flooded rivers, uprooted trees and tore into beaches along Australia's east coast. Now, residents remain under threat as the floodwaters rise further, closing roads and bridges and flushing out dangerous wildlife as well. As the storm moved south, major flood warnings were issued for 7 rivers in Tasmania. 3 people dead and many more are missing as massive storms hit the east coast of Australia. A weekend of wild weather flooded rivers, uprooted trees, disrupted shipping out of major ports, pummeled coastal towns, damaging houses and leaving thousands without power. Storms continue to batter New South Wales and Victoria. In Sydney's southwest coastal areas, hundreds have been evacuated from low-lying areas.
So within our Sydney southern region, we've attended to over 5 rescues throughout the night. Throughout the state, we've attended to over 50.
The storm has now moved south through Victoria to Tasmania, where conditions are said to be worse than those during the state's deadliest floods on record in 1929. Here, major flood warnings have been issued for 7 rivers. 2 elderly people are feared drowned. Homes have been inundated in the town of Forth, where waters are expected to rise even further by Tuesday. More than 3,200 homes are without power and more than 100 roads are closed across the state.
It's terrible, but we knew that it was going to be bad last night when the king tide came through. So we shut the club at 6 o'clock last night because it was devastating.
Experts say that while the immediate threat from the storm has receded, water levels in rivers across New South Wales and Victoria continue to rise. Tasmania is also inundated with flooding at record levels. The rising water have flushed out further dangers, with many residents spotting snakes in their homes. Though the cleanup has started in many regions, the full extent of damage caused by the storm will be known only in a couple of days. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And more news from across the world. Here is the Global Buzz. 5 people were killed in a terrorist attack on Jordanian intelligence officers in a Palestinian refugee camp near capital Amman. The attack took place in the Bekaa camp, which hosts around 1 lakh of refugees. Now, 3 of the 5 people killed were intelligence officers. Jordan is a leading member of the US-led coalition fighting the Islamic State group in neighboring Iraq and Syria and has been the target of jihadist attacks in the past as well. At least 14 people were killed and 26 others wounded after a school bus plunged into an irrigation canal in Turkey on Sunday. The bus was taking its students home after a weekend trip when it collided with another vehicle. The US and China today signed an eco-partnership agreement in an effort to improve the environment. The eco-partnership pact was signed by the US Secretary of State John Kerry and the State Council of People's Republic of China at the annual US-China Strategic and Economic Agreement. Now, 12 cooperation agreements totaling 135 outcomes are expected to be signed during this dialogue, which concludes on 7th of June. Plunge in the US dollar and attacks on Nigerian oil infrastructure have resulted in a rising of the price of the Brent crude oil. A weaker dollar supports fuel demand in the rest of the world as it makes dollar trade oil imports cheaper. Meanwhile, recent sabotage of Nigeria oil fields has also tightened supplies. The attacks have left Africa's biggest economy towards recession and have cost Nigeria its position as the continent's top oil producer. The US Navy has slapped a drinking ban on sailors who are stationed in Japan. The decision came after police arrested a US sailor on the southern island of Okinawa on suspicion of drunk driving following a car crash that injured 2 people. Residents of Okinawa have been angered by the recent incidents. Last month, an American civilian working for the US military was arrested on suspicion of dumping the body of a 20-year-old Japanese woman. Well, that's all in this edition of news, but news and updates continue on your channel. Thanks for watching.